Hey all, and welcome to Shadow of Space. And today we've got another Black Conservative Perspective video. This is called UK Melts Down Over Trump Warning Foreign Annexation of British Territory as Revenge on Woke Leader. This was uploaded April 25th. This is being recorded April 26th, and links in the description.
Its calls for negotiations with Britain over the Falkland Islands. It's believed to stem from Donald Trump's comments that the US is considering reviewing its support for the UK's claim to the Falkland Islands. Comments that stem from his displeasure with the UK and NATO during the Iran war. Well, at the Pentagon news conference today, Pete Hegseth was scathing about America's long-term allies. Let's listen.
Europe and Asia have benefited from our protection for decades, but the time for free riding is over.
Okay.
America and the free world deserve allies who are capable, who are loyal, and who understand that being an ally is not a one-way street. It's a two-way street. We are not counting on Europe, but they need the Strait of Hormuz much more than we do, and might want to start doing less talking and having less fancy conferences in Europe and get in a boat. This is much more their fight than ours.
Some warning would have been nice.
So we got to talk about the UK, who's currently in a full-blown meltdown as President Trump seeks revenge against the UK. Well, not really the country as a whole, but the political leadership there, led by Keir Starmer, okay? And why are we seeking revenge against Keir Starmer? Well, it's because the UK did not show up when we asked them to support us in our operation against Iran. We're not asking them to fight Iran, to kill anybody. We're just asking them to secure their own shipping lanes, right? To provide us some minesweepers, which is like the one thing that they can do in order to clear the Strait of Hormuz and to get rid of Iran's only point of leverage, which they barely have at this point. But that would make this process of ending this conflict with Iran go a lot faster if NATO decided to cooperate. And the UK is a part of NATO. They're one of the leading countries in NATO. They didn't come to our aid, right? They decided not to help us. We have to go at this alone, okay? And because of that, President Trump has made it clear that NATO is not very helpful to the United States, right? They don't really help us. They don't really provide any utility for us. At this point, it's a very one-sided relationship where we do everything for them. We come to their aid, right? Even if, you know, it's a country that...
Tell me when the UN came to us, the United States, and said, would you please blow up the supreme leader of Iran?
that is involved, that's not a NATO...
Blow up the supreme leader of Iran and attempt to negotiate better oil prices? Like...
country like, for example, Ukraine gets invaded by Russia, we spend our money, send our weapons to help Ukraine, even though Ukraine is not a NATO country, in order to protect NATO, right? Because the theory is that if Ukraine is taken over by Russia, that is a threat to NATO. So we show up for NATO, okay, and our allies like the UK, even when they're not...
Well, see, arguably we didn't show up. Showing up would have been actually putting troops on the ground. Helping would have been what we are doing in Iran right now, where we are actively selecting targets and using our military to take them out. That is not what we did in Ukraine. We did nothing near that.
Really involved. Even if it's a threat to them in a roundabout way, we still show up. They could even show up for us to support, in a support role, to help us with the operation in Iran. So now, President Trump is saying, you know what? When it comes to certain issues, we are no longer going to take your side. Like, for example, the story that we have to talk about here today involving the Falkland Islands off the coast of Argentina, also known as Las Malvinas, and the territorial dispute that dates back to the 1800s between Argentina and the UK over who the island actually belongs to. Okay, the UK historically has claimed the island since I think the 1830s, and Argentina has not liked that. Right? They have challenged the UK's authority. They even went to war for the island back in the 1980s. And I'm not gonna lie to you, the Argentinians got their ass whooped. Okay, led by Margaret Thatcher. The UK actually had a navy back then, right? They actually had a navy that was capable of defending their territory, right? Of actually doing something useful. You can't really say that today, to be honest with you.
Why don't you just patrol the English Channel? Why don't you put you put authorities on the shores of southern England?
Yeah, I'll tell you why.
And the answer is, you're telling me because once they get that far, it's over.
But we couldn't even patrol the channel if we wanted to. At the Royal Navy fleet, apart from our nuclear subs, we only have 4 assets in the entire Navy that are seaworthy. 2 weeks ago, the Russians had a warship in the channel. Starmer, our Prime Minister, said, if you do that, you know, there'll be consequences. Of course there were no consequences. We can't do anything about it.
Gave him the Joe Biden answer. If you do that again,
British Armed Forces completely
you'll be sorry.
This has been decline over
But at the same
decades since the
time,
Second
you could
World
argue that at this point, Trump has sort of done that with Iran.
And the country is falling apart as a consequence. The country feels like a tinderbox, actually. All of these things are piling up now and very fragile. The smallest little thing, and I fear that the country will explode.
Well, you've been sounding the warning. We appreciate you doing so here with us.
Yeah, well,
we hope to continue the conversation. Winston Marshall.
Thanks, Will.
Yeah, so despite losing the war to the British, the Argentinians have still claimed that the territory is rightfully theirs, right? And that this is colonialism, right? The British are basically saying that, no, this is self-determination. The people there are British. They want to be British. They don't want to be a part of Argentina. Is ours, right? Now, Javier Milei, the president of Argentina, has come out and declared that the Malvinas were, are, and always will be Argentine. This is him speaking about this issue, saying it's been illegally occupied by the UK.
Quiero una vez más el apoyo permanente y sólido del Mercosur a los derechos soberanos de la República Argentina sobre las Islas Malvinas, Georgias del Sur, Sandwich del Sur y los espacios marítimos circundantes ocupados ilegalmente por el Reino Unido desde 1833.
Yeah, so apparently the Trump administration has decided that the United States of America is going to be neutral in this dispute. As in, we're not going to automatically acknowledge that Britain has sovereign ownership of the Falklands, right? We're basically saying, hey, we can't really say either way, right? And apparently that has pissed off the Brits, okay? Again, this is across party lines. These people are currently in a full-blown meltdown over the United States allegedly taking a neutral position on this issue. Take a look.
Could the United States be reconsidering its support for Britain's claim to the Falkland Islands? A leaked Pentagon email suggests that could be the case.
In 1982, Argentina invaded the Falklands, a British overseas territory. Britain reacted quickly, sending a task force 8,000 miles to take them back. 10 weeks later, Argentina surrendered.
Rejoice at that news and congratulate our forces and the Marines.
Now, more than 40 years on, the Falklands seem yet again to be at the centre of geopolitics. A leaked Pentagon email seems to outline potential punishments for those NATO countries who have not supported the United States or Israel in their war against Iran. One possibility that the United States might withdraw its support for Britain's sovereignty of the Falkland Islands.
Argentina still claims the islands, calling them Las Malvinas, and marks the war every year. But experts say this isn't about the Falklands themselves, it's about leverage.
The strategy over the Falklands is to try to unsettle the British government. But they won't do that because Britain's claim to the Falklands is extremely solid, both in historical terms, and it's absolutely 100% solid on grounds of national self-determination. The Falklanders, 99% of them, want to remain British.
Downing Street say nothing has changed.
The Prime Minister's spokesman said the Falkland Islanders want to remain a UK overseas territory, and political opponents agree.
The Falkland Islands are British.
Some of the things that the US complain about that most of us would agree are problems, mass migration, disintegration of culture. Some would argue that the wars that America have started in the Middle East, for example, created that wave of mass migration. The denigration of British culture, a lot of that is because we've become so Americanised. You walk down our high street, pretty much everything's owned by America. I think the idea that they are unambiguously benevolent towards us is not something that holds. I'm not saying they shouldn't be an ally. I'm not saying they're not an extremely valuable and powerful partner. But I think sometimes, do you think we've just been too quick to think that they want the best for us? But actually, they just want the best for America.
Yeah.
It's not... America isn't right on everything, but what it has done under President Trump over the last 2-3 years by pointing to the fact we are losing our civilizations, the fact we have lost free speech, you cannot even pray outside abortion clinics without free speech crackdowns in this country, that has alarmed Americans, not because of some manipulative approach to their allies, but because they see us as them. They know they came from us. So when they look back at the mother country and they say, hang on a second, what is going on here with free speech? And what is going on with mass migration? And what is going on with Islamism?
They didn't all come from us, and those that did come from us came a very long time ago. So if you're going to stand in America and say that country has lost its civilization, I would be questioning anything that an American has to say about British civilization.
Man's mad, isn't he? And this is what I find really... What's the word that I want? I mean, I don't know if the word exists, actually, because frustrating doesn't even touch the sides. What I find utterly disgusting is the way that they all facilitate him. So the Pentagon, arguably the finest fighting machine in the history of humanity, is now sacking good people, as Simon Marks will talk to us about later, and populating the corridors of power with pusillanimous sycophants who are sitting there coming up with punishments for allies because they refuse to join an illegal war. How far and how fast the United States has fallen. Because this is what we were talking about yesterday. It's not going to be enough if they get somebody half decent back in the White House. The damage that has been done to everything is...
Well, why, like, I will grant you that I don't quite understand exactly the rationale for why it is that we blew up their supreme leader. However, this is a British territory that you are sitting here complaining that the US is not taking for you. Your response isn't, our military is so strong and is so powerful that if they even tried, we would beat them back in a week and it would be done. No, it's, how dare the United States choose not to involve itself in this conflict? It's, how could they start the conflict in Iran, but then choose to not help in this?
Going to be generational. What are you doing in the Pentagon today? We're compiling a list of possible punishments for NATO allies who didn't support our war. It's pathetic. It's the politics of kindergarten.
It's not a claim the Falkland Islands are British. They've never been Argentinian. Argentinians have never lived on the Falkland Islands. They just tried to claim them because they're close, much closer to their coast, obviously in the South Atlantic than ours. So it's not a claim. And if you asked anybody on the Falkland Islands if they want to be British and Argentinian, the last poll, 99% wanted to be British. So as far as I'm concerned, there's absolutely no question about who they belong to. But this gives comfort and succour to Argentina, who are not particularly aggressive at the moment in their ambitions for Las Malvinas, as they call them, but it will, you know, give them the message that, oh, the Americans this time, because last time we couldn't have won the Falklands War without the satellites the Americans owned, giving us details of the movement of Argentinian troops.
Oh.
Yeah, so you see, they heard that. Funny how that works, right? Funny how these people get so pissed off when we don't come to them, right?
Well, because we're the ones with the active military.
When they need us in a support role, okay? Like they need us to support their sovereignty
again,
that they claim.
Are we supposed to be the world's police? And when there's some sort of conflict, are we supposed to send in troops and aid to solve it? Or aren't we? And if we are, then what is the point of NATO if we are basically the only actual executive arm? We actually execute the ops. Like, they read the suggestions in the suggestion box, and then we implement those suggestions. Like,
over the Falklands,
like
right?
you then have to admit that Donald Trump saying that we contribute more is technically true, because we do. If they need our satellites, they need our tech and our infrastructure, they need our help.
Argentina, who, you know, Javier Milei, he's pretty good.
Everyone
he's pretty
does,
Gucci
clearly.
with the Trump administration, right? He's a guy that, you know, we're investing money into. We're investing resources into. We're trying to bring that country up. Okay? He's on our side of the world.
Well, I mean, this would be a big opportunity for the UK to flex its military. And instead of doing that, it's finger wagging and making threats behind a podium.
Is pissed, right? They're pissed. But when it came to Iran, Keir Starmer told us, no, hold on. Keir Starmer said, when we asked them for help, hey, can you help us? Send minesweepers. We're not asking you to fight. We're not asking you to do anything complicated, right? We're just asking you for support. Nah, it's not our fight. It's not our war. Right? We're neutral. Okay, cool. Well, we're claiming neutrality too. This conflict between you and Argentina, hey, we neutral. We ain't got nothing to do with it. Now they mad. They upset, right? It's amazing. But the real reason why they're mad and upset is because the modern day UK Navy is a joke. They couldn't even defend the Falklands if they wanted to, right? What Navy is the UK going to send? Seriously. And that's what's been exposed here, right?
I don't know.
So
I mean,
because let's be real.
That's really the question. Again, you listen to all these people. They aren't praising their military prowess. Like, where's the national pride?
If they had the military power to defend it, they wouldn't care whether or not we support it. They don't care if we're neutral. Like, nah, we got the military assets to defend it. It doesn't matter what the United States says. It doesn't matter if Trump
when you make videos, public videos that other people can watch, that is like, I guess it wasn't really like, what are we going to do if the US doesn't come in? But it's taking this stance of, it's shameful in that we need them to come to our aid? I guess not. Maybe not. I don't know.
Right? That's the only thing that matters.
I don't know why. I don't know why it wouldn't matter. If they had confidence in their military, then, like, do they know? I know nothing about Argentina's military. Is it strong? What? Like,
they don't have the military capabilities of defending it, and this is what is so hurt. right? This is why all of them are boo-hoo and crying.
It's got nothing to do with them whatsoever. It is entirely and utterly non-negotiable that the Falklands are British.
I think this is absolute nonsense. The Falkland Islands are British. They have been for a very long time.
With President Trump in the White House, we just have to see him for what he is. He's a totally unreliable ally, and he's a dangerous and reckless president.
Despite the outcome of the war, Argentina still lays claim to the Falklands, although the islands are now home to a much more significant British military presence. Carl Dinner, News at 10, Westminster.
And Dan
Then
has
why are
more
they-
on this
why are
from
they
Washington.
worried?
Dan, how serious do you think the administration is about this?
I think they're serious. Geraint.
Did they ask for our help? I mean, I guess that's gonna sound petty, but they're just expecting us to intervene.
We've put this to a senior administration official. They are not distancing themselves in any way from that report over the sovereignty of the Falkland Islands. And in fact, they've gone further, stinging criticism of the UK, not only over Iran and perceived to be sort of too little, too late in terms of sort of military help for the United States in the campaign in the Gulf, even though British officials will say, actually, we gave the Pentagon everything they asked for, but also over the level of defence spending as well, this target of 3.5% of GDP. The American officials saying this is
See, I would argue that that is the problem, is that you're doing the bare minimum. Like, the whole argument is you need the strait, so you should be defending it. We shouldn't be doing anything.
path to that. And so this, acute timing, 3 days before King Charles arrives on this state visit here. It is not a coincidence that this is being put out, and I think there will be heads in hands, frankly, at the Foreign Office as all this is unfolding. The Argentinians have already seized on the Falklands line. They're saying they want to reopen bilateral talks with the UK, reaffirming their claim to sovereignty, and all this just a few months after Argentina received F-16 jets from Denmark in a deal that Britain opposed but was overruled by the Americans.
And on the war in Iran, the peace...
We're not playing around. We're not playing around. You play stupid games, you win stupid prizes. Keir Starmer is winning a stupid prize. And then they want to boo-hoo, whine, and cry. But it's like, hey, this is what a functioning relationship is like, right? A functioning relationship is not, oh, we come to your aid every time you need us, but, when we say, hey, we need some support from you, it's optional. Oh, it's not, it ain't got nothing to do with us, right? Even though it do, okay? Okay, well, we're just giving them the same energy. And clearly they don't like that. They don't like getting the same energy that they give us. They don't like that. It should tell you everything you need to know about our so-called allies and the type of relationship that they really want with the United States of America. It's not a relationship that's mutually beneficial. It's really not. It's not. And I think that is becoming...
And I guess, right, that's evident in the way that they go off on how the U.S. isn't supporting them. Again,
clear, right? Clear.
Where's NATO?
With
Where's
the
the
actions
UN?
of some of our so-called allies. But, ultimately we're going to see, again, if you got the military, then this shouldn't be an issue, right? That's all I'm saying, right? If you got the military assets to, lay claim to this territory and, you can defend it, then, hey, we ain't got nothing to do with it. That is what the Trump administration is threatening here. So, let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe.
I mean, that's like, whether you like it or not, that's where you are now, where Argentina is trying to lay claim to it. If you want it, then you're going to have to defend it. And if you want to defend it, then you're going to have to figure out how to deal with Donald Trump.